The Iron Age began about 700 BC and ran until about AD 43 when the occupation of Britain by the Romans began in earnest. The Iron Age is the most intensely studied part of British prehistory, in part because of the abundance of archaeological material that survives in comparison to earlier periods. It's a period of technological innovation, of artistic development, of increased population, and also of contact with the continent and further afield. And this vibrant, thriving tribal culture is really the culmination of Somerset's prehistoric story. Hill forts are a dominant landscape feature in Iron Age Somerset, and I'm going to mention two today, Ham Hill and Cadbury Castle. Ham Hill is an early example of an Iron Age hill fort. There's documented activity stretching back into the Bronze Age, and it's also one of our largest examples from the UK. It's been extensively quarried, so our archaeological knowledge is limited in places, but we do know that there was an enormous amount of occupation on the hilltop, and that's evidenced by housing, roundhouses, enormous amounts of crossing trackways, and also pits and hearths. So Cadbury Castle is probably our most important late Iron Age hill fort site in Somerset. It's a really established centre of population in the county, and they've got an enormous network of houses, roadways and enclosures on the hilltop. We've also got a series of pits that give us evidence of charred remains, woodworking, boneworking and human remains from the top of the hillside. It's unique in the fact that it has early evidence of cult practice. We found possible evidence of a shrine at Cadbury Castle, which this formalised practice of religion is really rare in the Iron Age. Cadbury Castle has been extensively excavated over the years, but not only that, there's been a really significant field and aerial survey done on the area surrounding the hill fort. And what they found is that actually there was a really important community that built up around the hill fort, which shows us that these places weren't just isolated hilltop defensive monuments, but actually had a real impact on the landscape around them. And this is something that we see later in the Roman period as well, around the really important military forts that grow up in the north of the country.